Hello, everybody. Harry here to talk about the series of interviews, teasing but telling, that the foreperson for the special grand jury in Fulton County has been giving all over the media for the last day or more. So recall, special grand jury sits for 8 months, hears from 75 witnesses, recommends indictments. That's pretty much all we know from the very few sections that the court, Judge McBurney, agrees to release. So we know that much, and now time passes, and we haven't yet heard from Fani Willis. Did the foreperson then become a little bit impatient? Is she trying to light a fire under Willis? Or is she just, can't resist her sort of turn on the stage? So here's what's been happening. Her name is Emily Coors, and she has come forward. They were ordered by the court not to talk about anything other than the very spare sections that the court released. But the court really doesn't have power over her anymore. The grand jury has been discharged. She's a private citizen. She probably has a First Amendment right to speak. At most, he could sort of scowl or call her in and upbraid her, etc., say, I mean it. But there's really no leverage here for him. On the other hand, there's really good reason for her not to be talking now and anybody to be talking. In brief, her series of interviews are not good for the prosecution. You can be sure that they're consternated about it. Just because, even though they're almost certainly an accurate summation of what the special grand jury did, they could lead to mischief and trouble down the line. Let's say the DA decides not to indict somebody, and this woman has suggested they will. That could give rise to a striking of a juror, maybe, or even a motion to change venue out of Fulton County. So you can be certain that the prosecutors are kind of tearing their hair out. On the other hand, the DA, Fani Willis, did say this is going to be imminent, and it's been a while. And one of the things, the many out-of-school things that the foreperson said was, I'm really eager to finally see, accountability and action. Hey, everyone. We're taking a quick break to ask you to take a second to like and subscribe. It's a quick thing that really helps the show. Thanks, and back to the video. Okay, that's all sort of in the background. People are kind of saying, what the hell is she doing and why are we hearing this? That's the reason. There's really no way to stop it. Possibly she's even in concert with some of her fellow special grand jurors, although she made a point of saying that they're not all still talking, etc. That is by far, to my mind, the second headline. If this were a newspaper, and often it is, you would get that as a little story down here. The big headline, look, I'm sorry. There's no way around it. I don't mean I'm sorry. I'm saying you just can't dispute this characterization. They have recommended indicting Donald Trump. There's basically no doubt about it. She's revealed this in a series of very coy ways. But first she comes out and says, you won't be surprised. And she says, we talked about him a lot. And, I think the biggest tell was she was asked about Trump's declaration that because he's not mentioned in that report, he was exonerated. And she literally guffaws and rolls her eyes. So, she basically said, we're indicting someone and his initials are Donald Trump. I just think there's no doubt about it. Now, when I say indicting, I should be careful that they're recommending the indictment to Fani Willis. But let's just stop right there. That's the main thing she asked them. They're pretty much on the same page with her. They are listening to what the DA's told them. They said the DA didn't try to load the deck as best they could tell, but still. it's clear if this is what the report says, that this is what the DA would want. It's clear it's what Fani Willis would want. Having received this recommendation from a special grand jury, the odds that they would now just ignore it and forget about Trump, 0 or 0.01%. So the headline, fasten your seatbelts and prepare for the first ever indictment of a former president. And when? Well, Fani Willis, after saying it was imminent, has backpedaled a bit, saying, well, I mean legal imminence, whatever that means. I'm a lawyer, and I'm sorry, nobody really seems to know. But she's saying, I still need more time. Is it a week? Is it 3? Is it 4? Doesn't matter in the long run. They are going to indict Donald Trump. Now, they're not going to indict only Donald Trump. The other sort of talking out of school, most of it was out of school, but she played this kind of coy, guessing game of how many people they're going to indict. And 20, that's a little much. 12 sounds, basically, and this was what I'd predicted independently anyway, so there was, reason to think this. We're looking at about 15, 16, 17 recommended indictments. Now, some of those are for schemes within Georgia to have phony electors. But those would be names that are not really well known to us, and she made it clear that these names will be well known to us. What she basically said again and again is there won't be surprises, this isn't rocket science, etc. So look for 7, 8, 10 people in Trump's circle. If we had the bingo card, the one I would want would have Giuliani for sure. Mark Meadows, I think. That's a huge, huge event. John Eastman, I think. And then from there, Mike Flynn testified, Lindsey Graham, it's sort of anyone's guess. And of course, there's also the question of whom do they suspect committed perjury and whom might Fani Willis indict for that. Okay, so the headline, first point, talking out of school, shouldn't. 15 minutes of fame seems like, what is this about? Prosecution can't like it. The big headline, Trump being indicted, and many in his circle, which is of not equal importance, but really up there, as I've suggested before. So what will happen after that? And here's a big thing to understand. We'll talk about it more when charges actually come down. But it doesn't mean that trial happens anytime soon. Even in a regular case, a defendant will often have pretrial motions lasting, say, up to a year. This is not a regular case. It's not just that it's a former president for the first time. This is a local DA indicting a former president. I don't know what in the Constitution says you can't do it because he's a private citizen, but stop and think about it. It means that, say, after Biden's term is done, the local DA from East Oklahoma, Ruby Red State could indict him. Now, presumably it would be dismissed very quickly because the big difference here is the facts and the law. She's got really, him pretty close to dead to rights. Starting with the infamous call to Raffensperger, where he says, I just need 11,780 votes. And the jury made clear, the special grand jury, that they listened to that a lot and talked about it. They also made clear that they unanimously decided that there had not been fraud in the election. On the one hand, that kind of goes without saying if you're going to bring up charges. That's the sort of linchpin of it. But unanimous, it doesn't have to be unanimous, and that she said that is an extra out-of-school point for emphasis. Okay, so indictments are coming, but that doesn't mean a jury trial is coming. This is going to be one with the normal slate of pretrial motions and then some extra also, maybe even more extra because of the talking, I would, out of school, I'd say, just not beyond the law. It would be beyond the judge said it's a due process violation to reveal the names, but that's if the prosecution doesn't. The due process clause doesn't constrain a private citizen like Emily Kohrs from saying what she will. So fasten your seatbelts. Indictments are coming, not just of Trump, but then lots of pretrial skirmishes, twists and turns. They may try to move it into the federal court, all kinds of stuff. I could speculate, but instead I think I'll just sit tight as well, because the indictments coming soon enough with all these first, I'm sure, salvo of motions. When it does, I'll be back to explain what is going on. And until then, talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.